We're here at the Tema ports. Now, this is a very important installation in Ghana's economy because 90% of customs collections, non-oil customs collections, come from right here. This is the Golden Jubilee Enclave. A lot of activity is going on behind us, but we are here for a much bigger purpose. We are here to meet the two parties whose interaction brings revenue, that 90% I talked about, coming from here. WISAG is the Wholesalers, Importers and Shop Owners Association of Ghana. They, of course, are one of the groups at the center of import activity in Ghana. Also, we're going to speak to the Customs Division, those who are in charge of Tema collections. This interaction hopefully will help you and I understand how import duty works and how it affects the cost of the products and services that you buy on a daily basis. Why is this important? It's because the president says very soon these duties are going to come down drastically. But before you ask yourself, how does that affect me? We're here to find out exactly the answer to that question. Let's meet those whose work together creates this all-important revenue and who will be most affected by any reduction. Here with me are the members of WISAG. Their president is here. Also, their secretary, Madam Ajwa Ejewa. We're also honored to have Dr. Oko Apia, who is the commander for the Tema collections under Ghana Customs. Gentlemen, ladies, very nice to meet you all, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, now, we have been hearing for such a long time that there is a problem with duties, that duties are expensive, and as a result, things are expensive on the market. Can you explain that to us?
What I can say is, since 2016 or 2015, when Ghana started with that CET, yes, things hasn't been easy with importers. And along that time, we went the duties were not done from Ghana Link anymore. It was that time that the duties were brought to customs to work on the duties for us. And from that time, we realized that the duties were just going up and up and up.
So you saw the cost
was being going up.
The actual figures applied to your items were higher.
So during that time, when the customs came in, they came in with the benchmark values, which they compared items to whatever they find on the internet or when they go to the Alibaba.
Right.
So that brought a lot of chaos on the market because the market of Europe is not the same as the market of Asia. You can take something from Europe into Asia and you get the same quantity, but the same look-alike, but
the cost is different.
The quality being reduced.
Right.
So we had a lot of interaction with GRA about the way and customs, about the way things were going on.
Right.
And we didn't have any better results till today that you've invited us as importers and shop owners to come together with the GRA and custom people to know how best, if the taxes are reduced, it's going to affect all the populace.
Okay, now I recall that at the beginning of 2018, there was quite an increase in prices, and the explanation we heard was that there has been an increase in duties.
Yes.
Now, is that the only increase, or have there been further increases from your experience?
It's been further because when you look at the duty paper, you one time will pay Exim Bank loan, get fund. It's as time goes on, and what worries the importer now is the dollar that is being changed every week at the port. We, for the decrease of or the percentage cut or whatever, That is not our problem now. What our problem is, the duty
being charged
in dollars.
Right.
And it's being changed every Monday. So if, for instance, I bring the same container as my brother here, and my container comes when the duty is about, like the dollar is about 5 cedis, is pegged at 5 cedis. But if his arrive and the dollar is 5 cedis, 50 pesos, he's being pegged at 5 cedis, 50 pesos. So no matter how the percentages comes down, the dollar rate is not going to help bring things down.
That's an interesting reaction. So what you're saying is that even after the reduction in duties, you are still worried about the fact that duties are charged in dollars.
Yes.
And so even when they reduce it, you might still find fluctuations when our cedi gains or loses value.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Dr. Appiah, it's really good we have you because, I mean, this falls directly on your desk. This is your job. So first of all, let's have a reaction to what the importers are complaining about. Since CTE was introduced, they have been feeling these differences. Tell us, did the CTE affect the cost of duties?
Thank you. I think, much as I appreciate what she's saying, let me correct the antecedent of what she just put out there. Yeah, she mentioned customs taking over from the inspection companies.
That's right.
Yes. And that happened in September 2015.
Okay.
Actually, what the inspection companies were doing happened to be a customs function of valuation and classification. But at the time, customs was not that equipped, in IT to do it. That was why it was given to the inspection companies, being private companies to operate. So in 2015, customs took over its function, and that was the beginning of the pre-arrival assessment system that we are having in the past.
Right.
So now customs issues what is called CCVR, as the final clean certificate of bail, for the values and then the classification, and then provides the duty that should be paid on a consignment. Yeah, it's being done by customs. And since its introduction, customs did not get any reaction such as it's gone or past arrangement has brought duties up.
This was in 2015?
2015, September. Then the CET, as she rightly said, the ECOWAS Common External Tariff was introduced in February 2016.
Okay.
And in that case, Ghana migrated from its domestic tariff onto the ECOWAS tariff, which has got 5 bands, 5 duty rates, which Ghana never had. Ghana then had only 4, being 0%, 5%, 10%, and 20%. But the ECOWAS rates, ECOWAS tariff, introduced the 35% duty band, which was new to Ghana.
So those who used to pay 20%, some of them now...
On some commodities, then started paying 35%.
Okay.
Okay, 35%. But to be frank with you, that affected only 130 tariff lines or commodities out of
130 products, if you will.
Yeah, okay. My language will be tariff lines, so products.
Yes, I'm breaking it
out
down.
Out of about over 6,000 in the tariff.
Right.
In the tariff, out of over 6,000. But probably the commodities involved are commodities that
some examples? Can we have some examples?
Soap,
plastics,
biscuits. Soap, biscuits, cooking oil, tomato paste, textiles like the white print. Batteries are not plastics. So these are the commodities.
So all of a sudden, some of these everyday use items like tomato paste and cooking oil and soap, suddenly the duty on them increased by 15%.
Yeah, right. Including rice, which was 10%, and it moved to 20% rice. Okay.
10% to 20%.
So these are some of the issues they started raising after the implementation of the CET. I mean, the trading public started complaining by then about high duties. But as I said, only the limited commodities. It will interest you to note that even the CET rather increased the 5%, band higher. So there are some commodities which used to be 20% and 10%, they came to 5%. And also, so looking
Again,
at the
can
whole
we have
structure,
examples of such commodities that came down?
most of them are raw materials.
Okay.
Yeah,
for
raw materials
industry,
and
manufacturing.
industry. Yeah, they all moved to 5%. Most of them. So the 5% band is leading in terms of tariff lines.
Right.
No,
In
but
terms of the number
those
of lines.
who benefit from that, they don't come out. They are beneficiaries.
The industries.
So the industries benefited really.
Right.
No, the industries benefited in the CET. So nobody can say CET is that bad.
Right.
But those affected by these commodities, but even the rationale behind the imposition of the 35% is for goods which can be produced, by within the ECOWAS region. That is where we are capable, we have the resources to produce those goods. These are the goods affected by the 35%. So as we move forward, it has been an issue. She also mentioned the benchmark values, that as a result of the implementation of the pre-arrival assessment system, we introduced something like benchmark values. But customs valuation itself is derived from the agreement on customs valuation, the GATT agreement on customs valuation, and there's a protocol on that governing it. And it's all about the transaction value. So, madam, your transaction value is the actual price at which the goods were obtained or bought outside. And that is the invoice customs requires from every importer or trader. Once you provide customs with that information, customs is going to use it. And that is the method one we use. The first is customs will restore to other values, as she will call it benchmark, as some will call it indicative values, or customs will do that where there's no basis to accept the actual price.
Give me an example of a situation where there will be no basis to accept the price.
You scrutinize the invoice and you can see if figures don't add up.
Right.
Just scrutinizing an invoice. The figures they themselves have put there.
So
they don't even add up. So that alone will be a decision for the officers at the evaluation center that, this invoice can never be a genuine invoice.
So it is your officers who make these decisions?
Oh yes, based on documents presented.
Right.
But in cases where the invoice reflects the actual price, no officer, and that is the method one, nobody changes any value. So when cases like this, where there are doubts, that is where we have other methods, like we look identical products that have arrived from the same country of shipment or origin within 3 months will be considered.
Is it true that you use Alibaba sometimes to do this benchmarking?
We hear a lot. People are talking. We hear a lot. Well, we have a way of, we call that one, doing offshore verification, not necessarily Alibaba or anything.
But Alibaba has been used before.
Well, that is not orthodox.
Okay. What would be orthodox?
But yeah, where you think you have gotten an offshore value and you want to probably verify to see whether it falls within the range, and somebody may decide to use that to guide him to see whether the range, fine, that one can guide, but it's not actually being a Alibaba value that is being used. You see, so we do a lot of offshore verification to where there are doubts. Where there are no doubts on the authenticity of invoices and they reflect the actual price, nobody has ever touched. Then we use the transaction value.
Okay. So allow me to check with the importers. Is that your experience? I mean, when you bring in your goods, is this what happens? Do they normally accept your invoice unless there is a reason to benchmark, question and benchmark further?
Well, when we bring our goods, they don't accept our invoices.
At all? I mean, none of your invoices are accepted?
About 80% not accepted. About 80% not accepted.
Is that because about 80% of your invoices are questionable?
I don't know. That is what they say. I don't know, but that is what they say.
Can I come in here?
Of course, yes.
You see, we have some items like biscuit, confectionaries, that comes from Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, and when it comes to even hardwares that is being used in the house, like bulbs, padlocks, those
batteries,
yes, all those things comes from Indonesia, India, and with them, the value of whatever the goods, the consignment is being sent to customs directly from source. And because of the dollar rate being used to calculate those duties, makes the duties very high.
Okay. So that's another issue, and yes. I want us to sort of deal with each issue one after the other. So we will come to the currency matter, which is very important, especially in recent times. But this thing about the invoices, okay? I mean, 80%.
You see, let me explain something.
We'll come to you in just a moment.
They buy the things from the market.
Right.
So when they come down, they have to combine whatever they've bought as an invoice. And when this invoice is being given to customs, even with that type of importers business and whatever they do, they buy the things in renminbi.
What is that?
That is from one is from China. China currency.
Right, okay.
So when they bring the goods, the invoices down, they have to sit with the agent to combine all what they bought together. And that is where the importers are having big problems. As he was saying, some invoices is like under invoicing and those things. But
okay, so just a bit of explanation. Renminbi is what the Chinese call their currency. Which is actually the yuan, isn't it? Yes. Renminbi means the forefathers. I learned that somewhere.
So what the importers do is when they bring their invoices, they leave it for the agents. You know, Ghana here, no importer comes to the ports to clear his or her goods themselves. We have to use the agents. And so when these invoices are being given to the agents, is there that the problem that Mr.
Dr.
Opoapia is saying? And we were happy when the vice president brought the paperless system.
Did that improve the situation?
No, it would have improved the situation if it had been implemented properly. And the people that is being implemented on them, understanding and giving information of their whatever, their telephone numbers as an importer, when your goods come, for the customs to let you know how much exactly you have to pay. That was another issue that brought down the paperless, didn't help the paperless.
So the implementation was
the implementation
not the best.
Because of the agents couldn't help the paperless implementation. And the paperless is one of the what word would I? It's one of the facilities that importers could have benefited very well on. Because if I come and I give up my details of whatever things I bought, and whatever I have to pay is being directed to my phone, it's very easy for me to go to the bank to pay my duties.
Doc, are you still operating paperless?
Yeah, but before then, let me go back to the valuation, the issues they raised. Yes. No, yes, still with this arrangement, talking about the valuation arrangement, we have that facility we call customs appeal system. And they are aware, the agents are aware. So even where an importer's invoice is declined, they petition the appeal system, they use it, and that is done electronically. And in most cases, they win. So it's not like the system is so rigid that when the value is established, nothing is done about it.
But let me ask you this, if in most cases they win, doesn't that mean there's something wrong with the system? It
Yeah,
means you are wrongly
in most cases,
declining
where they have
invoices.
genuine, where they have, but where still they don't tally. There are so many instances, I didn't know you were, we have brought invoices that have been doctored, and you see the amount, the difference, you'll be shocked.
But those will be exceptions, right?
Yeah, they happen. They happen.
But in most cases, those who appeal,
but those who appeal, when they appeal, whether on valuation or classification, they win.
Which means they shouldn't have been declined in the first place.
But if you don't test it, I will know, because they provide further particulars. Whenever it happens like that, they provide. Some are able to, those who are able to provide better particulars to convince customers that this is the amount I transferred through the bank to the shipper, and I cannot lie about that. Then customs will consider whatever errors on the documents they presented as probably genuine errors.
Right.
So we do a lot of technical scrutiny in this.
So the more you test these things, are you now improving your system so that there will be fewer appeals, because that extends the process and costs them money?
Yes, that is what we are using to build our trade database, and we do that, and it's helping everybody. So that is it about the valuation. Now, already she made the point that
it's not helping us because
the agents,
the container then goes to.
Let me finish. So that is it about it. Just to explain that we are not that rigid on whatever decision is taken at that level before the CCVR is issued or after the CCVR is issued. They do that. And the other issues that she is raising about paperless. About paperless. Yes. Before the introduction of paperless in 2017, and whatever I'm saying are based on facts. You see, still some, not all, some importers were not complaining much about duties. Still, the duty rates stood as from 2016 on some of the commodities. We were not getting the complaints. Get the facts right. Okay. Then, with the implementation of the paperless, which actually improved compliance. That is to me, as a customs officer, I would say that's one of the major benefits of the paperless. It improved compliance because everything is now electronically. So the chance to manipulate or doctor hard copy to customs, fizzled out. It disappeared. So whatever we are doing by the system, you couldn't manipulate hard copies. And it exposes some level of non-compliance in the whole system. So now, some of them, I'm very careful saying some, started feeling the pinch of how much the actual amount of duty they are to pay. Because if some were manipulating, the paperless has plugged out such loopholes. And it was the time those of us at the port started hearing about duties have gone up. So that is what I can say for now. But as a conversation,
Let me quickly get your thoughts on this dollar thing, and then I'll come to the president. But first, the dollar. I'm sure you're going to say that is what government has directed. But can you see the reason why they are concerned about having to pay duties in dollars? Why can we not simply do it in cedis and even shore up our own currency?
Thank you. Duties are paid in cedis, but they are assessed in foreign currency.
Exactly.
So where the goods are coming from, as you say, China, they are assessed UK, pound sterling, they are assessed in foreign currency. By the end of it, it's converted, to the cedi equivalent for payment to be effected at the bank.
Right.
And that's where they complain about the exchange rate. And it's true that exchange rate is a factor because weekly, Tuesdays, we change the exchange rate. So when it goes down, like I think somewhere last week, it went down, and some importers who were clearing at the time benefited. They benefited because it went down. And then when it goes up to same. But that is a provision in the act that we use, that it should be assessed, CIF should be at the foreign currency, and then converted by the ruling exchange rate into cedis. So that is it.
So in essence, I mean, no matter what you do, as long as you are using the value of the product in its home country, no matter what, you will still have the same problem because they have to convert before they charge you. So there's really no solution to that problem.
Until this thing is taken to Parliament and the dollar being pegged, because as a businesswoman, I may go into China to a factory to buy goods. When I go, they take 6 weeks to put all the goods together. The container takes 6 weeks to get arrive to Tema Port. And when the container arrives, it's up to, you see, it's not helping we business people to predict our businesses. Because maybe when I was going on the journey, the dollar was then 5 cedis.
So your solution is that they should go to Parliament and do what?
And amend the act on that.
So that it says what?
It says that maybe the dollar rate should be pegged a yearly or 6 months. Because the time I use in doing the business and the time the goods arrive here, within that 3 months, period of 3 months, the duty would have been changed because of the dollar about 6 or 10 times. I'll
say that's an issue for Parliament, but it's good that you've made the point. Mr. President, you wanted to say something about...
I wanted to say something. You see,
paperless, right?
About the paperless issue. You see, the whole issue is that, you see, the paperless, sometimes when we bring our paper to the system, they accept. Sometimes they accept. Immediately they accept, you pay the duty. On the way of arriving, taking your goods out, the preventive service, they may realize, you have a cargo, you have paid maybe, let's say, 20,000. Somebody is brought in the same cargo. He has paid 25,000. Why is it that your value has been declared 20,000 and the other colleague has been declared 30,000? So they have to detail your cargo.
Okay.
For I'm asking, what reasons does those come in?
So what he's pointing to is something that appears to be error on the part of the authorities. If you have charged two identical orders or items, different amounts, that's your error, is it not?
Okay, you use the word identical. Maybe they'll be similar.
Okay,
similar
but not identical. Very well.
I
want to hear his response.
But he's talking about goods. Otherwise, I'm going to use vehicles as an example. But he's talking about goods.
Okay.
So they may look similar, but they will not be identical.
Then you shouldn't stop them when they are going out if you've done it right.
Such interventions come in where there's evidence that they have underdeclared or misdescribed. But I'm here, whatever, we are looking at it, that we shouldn't, institute any measures that will be detrimental to trade facilitation. So this time round, we attach the preventive officers to the examination officers, and they conduct joint examination. Let me see, you can see them there. Wherever you see an examination officer, there's a preventive officer with the examination officer. Okay. So once it's okayed by the two of them, there'll be no need for preventive to intervene again, in order to help trade facilitation.
Yeah.
But even that, still our doors are open. And I say the appeal system runs through, just that some of them don't have the courage to approach us there in my office or my 2IC's office. Just come where you think you are being treated unfairly. You come, some come, they petition for re-examination. Some of them, I will not even ask the re-examination to go on, because by listening to them, you see there's even no need for the re-examination and pass the goods.
Okay.
You know, so that's
what,
the flexibility.
What this
I'm
tells
talking
me
about.
is that in spite of the fact that we have gone paperless, there are still some human decisions being made. You know, decisions being made by human beings. You gave me an example of establishing whether an invoice reflects true value or not. That's something that a member of your team will do and decide on that decision whether or not they should accept that value. And if they don't accept, then the only option to the importer is to appeal.
Yes.
So that's a human decision. So if we are trying to use the paperless to remove some of these human decisions, have we really succeeded? Can somebody not come around and bribe one of your men to accept a value that is not accurate?
Okay, let me explain that. You know, we are running a two system, let me put it that way. We have the pre-arrival system before even the vessel arrives with your goods. Once you submit your documents, and it's done electronically, that is done at the head office, not Tema here.
Okay.
It's not done here. Tema, our clearance system is now paperless. But over there too, it's paperless. It's electronically done. So the agent will not even know, because it's electronic. There's no contact between the agent and the one scrutinizing the documents. So, and even the appeals are done electronically.
So the importers can never know who is making the decisions about their...
No,
okay.
I'm happy they are saying they don't know.
Okay.
So it's purely electronic, and you will know whatever. But as I said, where they have issues, they just appeal through the system. And even still, some of them will not be satisfied with the appeal verdict. They go ahead and then petition the Commissioner General till they are satisfied.
Right.
So that is the protocol.
Now, the president says that duties are going to come down. I want to know how it will affect me. I am part of a society that depends on these people. It is the things you bring that we consume. So I want to know, if these duties come down, can I buy from you at lower prices?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
Because me, I don't remember the last time prices went down in this country. So is this a promise that you are making us?
Yeah, we are making you. We are promising you.
Mr. Jansen,
yes.
Can I say something?
Please.
We can promise, even when during President Kufuor's tenure, business people slashed down their profits for markets, for the people to be happy. You see, the reason why, if my brothers will promise you and I cannot promise you, is that just a month ago, the dollar was worked at the ports. The duties was worked at the port at 5.5, 5.6, 5 whatever. And just 3 weeks ago, by His Grace and the President, the dollar has dropped.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yes, has come down to like 5.1, and I don't know what they are using for now. I come and take my goods out of the port at the rate of 5.1. Mr. Ablo took his at 5.8. I would like to reduce the commodity for the people to buy. What about Mr. Ablo? Does that mean that Mr. Ablo has to throw his money out for the public to be happy? No, we are not Father Christmas. We are set for business and we work through banks. We have interests to pay. And the way the process, like we were talking about one container paying 25,000, one container paying 30,000. That is about the dollar. Because if I might pay my duty on Tuesday, he's on Thursday, but because of go and come, do and this and that, all the goods might end up coming out on Friday at the gate, where there is a task force at the gate who will tell us that I won't allow this container to go out because this one paid 30,000, this one paid 25,000.
Right.
Forgetting that the customs had worked the duty based on the rates available at the moment.
So if I've understood you, then even after these reductions that the president has promised, we might still have a situation where prices don't
Yes, so
come
that
down.
is what we are appealing to him this afternoon. That
Right.
if he wants the importers to be happy and the public to be happy, we have to go back to Parliament and work on that
Okay.
dollar.
Dr.
And
Okwapia.
there's one thing I would like to say. Dr. Okwapia said they are making examination due to like petition. We petition the papers all the time. By doing that, we have the system of demurrages. If we tell you the amount of demurrages importers are paying now, it's very unbearable. Because before you take the petition in, it takes like 2 weeks for the petition to come back, to accept it. And this container has to be cleared within 7 days. And the customs are using this imports rents, whilst state warehouse rent, whilst Jubilee or whatever the
Cost.
terminal your container is charging you, government is also charging you, the same person, on the same container for ground rent. So on one container, customs is charging you, the terminal 2 is charging you, state warehousing. And after that, after 7 days, the container automatically runs into demurrage. And this demurrage is paid or billed in dollars. So for me, if you ask me my opinion, the duty components, what the customs gives to us on the duty paper, is not our issue. It's the things that follows up on the duty paper. Before we were doing this input and output VAT, and now this input and output VAT is you pay and you don't get your VAT anymore. So you have to, it's a flat rate, you pay the 17.5 at the port, which is being added on into your imports duty, and you don't get it back. You have to pay that then 2 together and go back to the market, and the same goods worked 3%, 3.5% on that goods and pay to the VAT service.
Right. So I wonder, I mean, it appears that some of these problems will have to be solved at the level of Parliament. But I wonder, Dr. Okwapia, if Parliament were to make such a law that you will peg the currency for periods of time, would that help or hinder your work?
Oh, yeah, that is. Whatever we are doing is the implementation of provisions, of an act. So once it's amended, I don't see how that affects our work in any way.
There's all important conversation about import duties. Why is it important? Because the president has just announced that they are going to come down drastically. How will that affect you? That's what we're here to find out. And we've been speaking to importers as well as customs to try and get the real picture of how import duties affect the cost of what you and I spend our money on. We've learned a lot. Now, as we wrap up, I want to first of all come to the importers. You made a very important point about your clearing agents. They are the ones who sit directly between you and customs. It appears that you're pointing fingers at them when it comes to the ballooning of costs. Can you explain how are clearing agents contributing to the cost of the things we buy?
What I would say on that issue is, when before, whilst doctor was speaking, he said importers started complaining when the paperless system came into action. But I think I disagree with him on that, because the importers were very happy with the paperless system. Some of us being to abroad know how the paperless system works there. We thought it was going to be the same procedures, whereby our duties from the customs will come straight to us and we will assign our agents based on what they have told us. But it didn't happen so. So it gave the agents some opportunity to just come to us and say, okay, because of paperless and the CTA, you have to pay, if maybe you were paying 20,000, you have to pay like 30,000. That was where the importers sat down and realized that why this paperless, we knowing is coming to be of help, has now been something else.
So in essence, in simple terms, you are accusing the clearing agents of what they call chobo.
Manipulating the system, because the importer, most of us are not computer literate or whatever. So it's difficult for the importer to go on the computer to assess whatever CCVR she or he is being given.
So you rely on the agents?
We rely on the agents.
And
so
they manipulate the system,
yes, so
and charge you a different amount from what customs has charged them?
Yes, because if you go to find your CCVR, you see that the CCVR that the custom has told you to pay is not in too much. It's not. We will say we are not complaining on the CCVR. The customs has done a good job in terms of their part on the CCVR. But the problem is the network on how every layman will be able to access the CCVR to know what the custom has asked that person to pay. Because when you pay your CCVR, what you pay next is your freight charges, shipping line charges. Then you come to the terminal charges. Recently, we got to know that the government has brought in custom rent charges on containers. That most of importers didn't know how that thing came about, because they are denied their the duty papers. The agents just come to them, the container costs this much, and the importer just takes the money and gives to the agent. So eventually, I would say that whatever the customs are doing, if it hadn't been that CTN that came in, I would say with the actual duty, it's not so high. But what follows that, the
processes that follow with the agents at the center of it. All right. Let me ask you this, Doc. If indeed someone inflates the value of import duty, surely that is some sort of crime that customs can, bring enforcement to bear against.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes. Yes. When you under invoice or you suppress your invoice, it's an offense, and you exact penalty in addition to whatever you have paid. So that is it, and it goes against the importer,
not the clearing agent.
No, it's the importer.
So what the clearing agents are being accused of right now, this thing where the importers are claiming that they are inflating the value, is that an offense?
Well, yeah. Where values? No. Inflating the values
to charge the importers
that's one
more.
That doesn't come. Customs will not be able to know. No. That customs will not be able to know after goods have been cleared, whatever transaction happened between the importer and his or her agent. Customs
doesn't fall under your jurisdiction.
But I think having listened to her, that calls for more transparency, and I think going forward, GRA. Going forward, we'll look at how best we can get the information on duties paid on each declaration, maybe by SMS or something, to the actual importer. And I think that will solve the problem.
Is this something, can you give us a timeline? If it's a positive thing you want to do, how long will it take for such a system to be put in place?
I'm going to place it on my initiatives for this quarter. Yeah, I'm going to make sure and then discuss it with top management. Yeah.
So it's something we can hope to see by the end of 3 months.
If at the end of it, for the manipulation of some few selfish people, the good job and policies that the government is implementing are not being seen or felt by the target people, then I think we have to quickly act. And I'm going to ensure that that is done. There will be transparency for the importer to be satisfied that the amount that that importer has paid the exact amount of duty the government has received.
I feel like
Yeah.
we're making progress. This is good news, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah. All right, now here's how I want us to wrap up. Let's look to the future. This government says that they want to change the fundamental structure of our economy so that we will start producing more things here in Ghana. As importers, does such a policy direction, does it make you feel threatened that in the future your work might be taken away from you by Ghanaian manufacturers?
No.
I would like to hear from you if that's okay.
Yeah.
Tell us your name.
My name is Philip Kweno, also a wholesaler and importer.
Okay.
I think it is a good idea by the government. In other jurisdictions like Nigeria, Dangote, Femi Otidola, they were all one-time importers or wholesalers. And they migrated toward big-time businessmen and
Manufacturers and industrialists. Yeah.
Yes. So I think the government should engage more of the wholesalers and the importers. So they will do import substitution what? Products. For instance, look at the 1D, 1F. The Ministry of Trade have not engaged as importers or wholesalers.
But they told you where to go if you want to set up a factory.
You know,
have any of you gone to the trade?
they've not come to our association. They have to ask the government, they have to invite us. They have to invite us to the table. So we will go ahead because we know business. We are into business. You cannot take, let's say, a baba to go and what? And manufacture a tomato paste or go to tomato paste. No, it's never done. It doesn't even know the dollar rate, the computation, all those things. So if for that government industrialization to take progress or effective, they need to invite more wholesalers and imported businessmen onto the table. Through that import substitution agenda will transform the economy. Without that, I think it will be a charade.
Right. So what you're saying is that you are all ready to start diversifying
Yes.
once import substitution comes.
Yes.
Because the dollar is even killing us.
Right.
And the
we-
government has to resort to us like they have Ministry of Trade have all the big volume importers. What they have to do is to engage them one-on-one on a personal level to move into that and support them with the necessary incentives and loans or whatever for them to transform, because it is only businessmen who can transform the nation.
Right. I want to say a very big thank you to all of you. This has been very informative and I feel like we've made progress. Do we agree?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's where we're going to bring the curtain down. Clearly, we have demonstrated that a little bit of dialogue can solve a number of problems, especially problems that have been established for years. So as the president's promise lies just off stage, ready to step up and surprise everybody with the magnitude of reductions of our import duties, you and I can look forward to a commensurate, hopefully, reduction on the market for all the things that you and I have become used to buying from abroad. But the big question we must ask ourselves is, are we ready to change our tastes so that when they change their business models, we will remain satisfied?